Hey Cavs fans, welcome to another episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll Podcast, the podcast for diehard fans by diehard fans. I'm Alex and I'm here with Corey. What's up, Corey?
Hey Alex, how's it going, man? We got some Cavs basketball to talk about.
Yeah, it's going good. I happened to go to a Cavs game, kind of spur of the moment. Went to the Pacers game.
How did this happen again?
Yeah, they got me, Corey. They got me. They hit me with one of those robo texts that they send out with, here's a code to, for $15 tickets, right? I was like, $15. Yeah, that's in my budget, right?
What kind of seats did that get you?
I click the link and I start looking, and the $15 seats are all nosebleeds, right? Like end zone nosebleed. But then I started scrolling, and I saw row 14 for $60, and I was wow, those are the seats for me.
Definitely.
So yeah, I knew that none of the starters were playing that night, and you know what? I enjoy watching the bench guys and just being in the atmosphere and at the game. I love it. So $60, row 14. It was pretty awesome. We had a great time.
That's a good find early in the season. Yeah, price is a little bit cheaper. Granted, you're not seeing the star players, and we didn't win the game. But that's still pretty cool that you got out to a game already.
I saw some star players, Corey. I saw Halliburton.
Yeah, well.
And Turner, Myles Turner.
TJ McConnell.
TJ McConnell. He lit some people up. Yeah.
Someone I would love on the Cavs for years now.
Halliburton
I saw some stars. I saw some stars. They had Mark Price was on the broadcast. Mark Price was with Brad Daugherty for a little bit on the broadcast, so I got to see some stars there. Yeah, so that was cool. What was it like down there? What was the crowd like and all that stuff?
The place was rocking, man. The place was packed. I was really surprised just by how full it was and how loud it was. Like, it's pretty unusual for a game, just a regular game early in the season with so many people sitting out. I was surprised by just how packed it was and how loud and rowdy it got. And the crowd, like especially the people up front, were really chirping at the Pacers and at the officials.
That's awesome.
And not used to really noticing that, but maybe it's because I'm usually sitting in the uppers somewhere. But it was good. It was good.
What did you think about the intro video this year, the hype video?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought they did a good job with it.
Yeah. No complaints from me.
No, it didn't get you hyped though.
I like it. I like it, but you're there in the flesh.
Yeah,
feeling the fire, feeling
the heat. Yeah,
right. It's a little different at home.
That's always a good part.
You know what I mean? So no, that's awesome that you got to go to the game. And the Cavs have had 2 home games, and I felt like the fans did a great job in both games. Even on TV, you can definitely kind of feel their presence. And just again, that's cool that you got to be there. Let's talk about this game. Let's start with the Pacer game first. Spoiler alert, if you don't know by now, the Cavs lost that game.
Yep.
But from being there, live in person, what were some of the things that you picked up on or that just stood out to you during that game?
So they started out pretty hot. They started out well. And the starting lineup was pretty solid. They started with Wade, Mobley, Okoro, LeVert, and Strus.
Yep.
And that group of guys did really well playing off each other, I thought.
What'd you think of Vert, man? Vert went crazy.
Yeah,
dropped
for sure.
22 in the first quarter, man.
And LeVert, he was kind of the bucket, right? He was doing all the scoring. He was most of the offense.
Yeah.
They really leaned heavily on LeVert for offense and moving the ball. And yeah, it was when LeVert wasn't in the game, they really went stagnant. So, I mean, that's kind of when we kind of let the Pacers get up on us, and then we just could never seem to catch back up.
Yeah, Vert's a bucket, right? He's offensive minded, and you could tell he definitely had the green light that game, obviously with everybody that was out. And thankfully, that first quarter at least, he was hitting. He was on fire. He had confidence. He kept chucking them up there. They kept going in, and the Cavs, yeah, they jumped out to a big early lead. Unfortunately, they let the Pacers back into that first quarter. They only had a 6-point lead at the end of one. But man, whenever you see someone go off like that, it's always exciting. The crowd loved it. It was a blast to watch from home. And Vert, overall had a solid game still. He finished with 31 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, 5 assists, logged 44 minutes. That's a lot of minutes for Vert.
Yeah, it was. You could tell. I mean, he was trying to be aggressive. He was trying to keep the offense going, but sometimes it felt like all the offense was on his shoulders at sometimes, and you could tell, like, the ball would swing all the way around. Right, everybody would touch the ball, and it would end up back in his hands, and he's like, "Oh well, it's
Yep.
me. There's 6 seconds left on the clock. I got to drive. I got to shoot. I got to make some space." And that
At,
usually either he bailed us out or it was a turnover.
yeah, as fun as it was to watch him go off, having Levert be in that spot, that guy that you're relying on with 5-6 seconds left to get you a bucket, after bucket after bucket, it wasn't gonna obviously last. But it was still a fun first quarter, and the Cavs looked good early on in this game. What kind of happened then, Alex, as this game kind of progressed? And second quarter, man, we got outscored 29-12. So the Pacers really
Yeah,
kind
I
of turned
mean,
things around.
once we started subbing some of the other guys in, I mean, it's early in the season. We don't,
Yeah.
it'll take a while, but um, Niang went in. I think he got about 20 minutes and
Yep.
didn't get much production out of him. He shot 3 for 10, 1 for 4 from three. He had a couple wide open threes that he should have made, and I feel
Yeah.
like
Niang,
that's what he's here for.
I feel like we'll get into these player breakdowns as we bring them up. And I want to talk Niang real quick and kind of just get your early kind of feedback on him. He hasn't really been hitting yet. He's kind of struggled all 3 games so far, at least from what I've seen. In preseason, he was hitting during the regular season. He seems to be struggling. Like you said, he's getting open looks. He's also, taking a lot of looks that maybe are sometimes questionable as well. But I get it. He's a 3-point specialist. He's going to chuck him up there. But, do you kind of have that same? I'm not, concerned or anything like that 3 games into the season, but do you kind of get the same vibe so far from Yang?
I didn't think that he was chucking. I didn't think that he was taking bad shots. I just thought he he was just having trouble getting shots to drop for him. He was just having it just seemed like an off night. It's not like he
Yeah.
wasn't getting any open shots. He just couldn't get anything to go down. And I mean that was kind of the same. I don't want to keep jumping players, but Sam Merrill, he got a few minutes. He clanked a few shots. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
this kind of puts into perspective how deep down the well the Cavs had to go for this game. Mitchell was out, Garland was out, Ty Jerome was out, Jared Allen's out. As a result, yeah, Karis LeVert plays 44 minutes. He just said Sam Merrill, he gets 6 minutes. Craig
Merrill. Yep.
Porter Jr. makes his NBA debut.
I was surprised to see him in the game. I was like, man, they're putting Merrill in. They're putting Craig
They had no
Porter in.
choice. I mean,
They put Imoni Bates in. Like,
I
wow,
hate I,
Bates
I
is
hate
getting run in a NBA game already.
Yep. I hate to say it. This is where it'd be nice to have Rubio right now because, in general, you have a lot of players just playing out of position so far this season, and we're only 3 games in. So this isn't like, a rant or a red flag or anything like that. But it's just like Mobley's not playing in his, preferred role, which is power forward. Um, Max Strus, again, the very first game of the season, played power forward. Mitchell the other night had to play point guard. You know what I mean? So you just have a lot of players playing kind of out of position due to injuries and the normal folks just not being available. And I feel like that's contributing a little bit to the team's struggles right now. Obviously, anytime you're missing core pieces, it's going to hurt. And this game in particular, we really had to go down the well. Tristan Thompson, Imoni Bates, Sam Merrill, Craig Porter Jr., all made their NBA regular season debuts in this game. So that's and
Tristan Thompson got a big ovation when he entered.
oh yeah,
It was fun.
you knew that was coming. I was waiting for it to happen. You know, in the OKC game, and yeah, I knew as soon as he was going to get in there, the crowd was going to show him love, as they
Oh
should. I
yeah,
mean,
he got a lot of
Tristan,
love. It was
yeah, I
fun.
mean, yeah, I wasn't expecting anything else, right?
And you
But yeah,
could
you
see
called
him.
out.
You could see him
Go ahead.
smiling too. He
Oh
was
yeah,
loving it. Yeah.
yeah, and he was, he only played 8 minutes. He grabbed 5 rebounds, a couple points. You know what I mean? So, what do you really expect out of him?
I thought he
Um,
played well with the
yeah, for
short
the
amount
minutes
of
he
time he
had,
was in. Yeah,
he was
he
fine.
came in, made an impact, I thought.
He was serviceable. So what's funny is we get to about halftime in this game. You sent me a text or two, and I think at some point I texted you. Maybe it was around halftime. I was like, Mobley's a mess.
Yeah.
And again, he's been playing out of position since the start of the season, since Jared Allen is out. And it's funny because I sent that text. You must have ran down to the court, showed Evan Mobley your phone, the text that I sent you, and he had a much better second half, and he finishes with 33 and 14,
He
his
looked
best performance of the
yeah.
season so far.
He looked like he got tired pretty quick in that first half. Like he was the only player that was completely drenched with sweat. Like his jersey was a different color than everybody else's, right? And you could tell he was getting like just physically worked over and beat up by Miles Turner in the paint in the post. You could
Yeah,
tell. I mean, Miles Turner just
Turner's
physically
tough
looked.
though, man.
He looked a lot
Turner's
bigger. He
tough.
just physically looked like he was bigger than Mobley and was moving him around in the post. Um, Turner would bump him, and Mobley was taking, backing up. He was being pushed
Yep.
back towards the basket, and there was nothing he could do about it.
Yeah, and the crazy part about this is Mobley plays 33 minutes in this game. You don't have Jared Allen. The backups that you have on this team, the backup bigs, they're nothing to scream about, right? They're serviceable players. Damian Jones plays 6 minutes in this game. Tristan Thompson plays 8 minutes. Niang plays 19. Dean Wade plays 37 minutes. That's your rotation of bigs if you want to classify all those guys as actual bigs. So Mobley, 33 minutes, he didn't play 44 like LeVert, but he had to get a lot of run in, and yeah, it's easy to understand why he was gassed. He was playing against a bigger man, which he usually is on a night-to-night basis when he's playing the center position. But he did finish strong, 33 points, 14 rebounds. That's the high mark for the season so far. And I don't know, I don't know if you have, Alex, I haven't heard any updated timeline on Jared Allen. Um, I'm hoping Allen comes back sooner than later because one, you need that defensive presence that Allen brings, but so that Mobley can slide back over to where I feel he's a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, we don't have anybody that replaces Allen, right? I mean,
No, we don't. We don't.
Jones, Thompson, just nobody.
Mobley doesn't replace Allen. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
they're different players. They're different styles and just different builds and so on and so forth. So, can you get away with a couple games of putting Mobley in that slot? Yeah, sure. But and it's only been 3 games, but what I've seen in these 3 games is very similar to what we saw last year when Allen was out and Mobley had to slide over. It's not where he's best suited. He could be serviceable. He can have a nice game like this. But he's just a better player at that power forward spot and more dangerous for this Cavaliers team in that spot as well. It's much harder to match up with him with your power forward if you're an opposing team versus your
hmm
center against Mobley.
and I'm surprised to sit here and look at the box score and see and look at Strus's numbers because when I was at the game, it just seemed like Strus was a highlight reel, right? I mean, he had that
Yeah.
incredible one-hand tomahawk dunk. He had a. It seemed like every time he shot the three, it was a dagger. Um, so
Let's
yeah,
talk about it,
I'm
man. What do
surprised to
you?
see his box score that he shot 7 for 20 field goals, four
Yeah,
for
he he
nine
he.
from three, because it felt like he was filling it up when I was at the game.
How many beers did you have, Alex?
Just one.
and I
Just
and I
one time.
heard, I don't know if this is true or not, by the way, real quick. I heard or I saw something online that the Cavs supposedly have the cheapest beer out of any NBA team. And I thought I read it was like
Really?
under $6. Is that true? The beer that you bought, do you remember how much you paid for that? Because I would looked at that. I think it said it was like $5.50. I'm like, no way. There's no way.
I don't even know where you would find a beer for
Exactly.
for double that
All right.
price.
Just somebody posting BS online. All right. All right. We got
Yeah, I
that
don't know about
situated
that.
now.
I did buy a beer, but I don't remember how much it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about Strus real quick. Strus, again, 3 games into his Cavalier career, Donovan Mitchell recently said in a post game interview that he reminds him of Kyle Korver. Um, and I like Kyle Korver. Don't get me wrong. In his heyday, Kyle Korver was deadly. Obviously, played for the Cavs for a season. Enjoyed his time here, but I kind of took that as I think he's more than Korver because Korver really was only going to be a shooter. To where Korver wasn't going to have that type of dunk that you saw last night, Alex. Right?
Hmm.
I mean,
Right.
and Strus does. I just feel more than what Korver does. He's able to get to the rim. Obviously, he's a little bit more aggressive. He could play a little bit of defense. The first game of the season, he grabs 12 boards for you while he's playing power forward. Strus just is a little bit more better of an all-around player than what Kyle Korver was. And
Yep.
I've liked what I've seen so far out of Strus.
He had 11 boards against the
Last night,
Pacers
yeah,
game that
against
I
the
was at. Yeah,
Pacers.
6 assists.
And he gets in the right place at the right time. And it's early, but it feels like the Cavs made a good choice, a strong investment with bringing him in and putting him in that starting forward spot. I think he's looked great so far. I have no
Yeah,
complaints.
I mean, he's fitting well. He's playing great. He's playing aggressive. He's knocking down a lot of shots. He's got great playmaking ability, and I think that this kind of goes unnoticed, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, he's always making a good pass, the right pass. He plays defense well, much better than I remember Korver playing defense. Uh,
absolutely. We got Korver. We got Korver a little bit later in his
yeah,
career, age wise.
sure, yep,
But even when Korver was like in Atlanta and I think Utah and stuff, I mean, deadly shooter, but he's not he's not throwing down tomahawk dunks and getting 11, 12 boards in a game. So it was a nice comparison for Mitchell to say that, but I was like, nah, he's more than what Korver ever was at any point in his NBA career. And I'm glad that he's wearing a Cavs uniform and he's locked up here for the next, several years. So it's gonna be fun watching him just continue to develop and gel with the team. So we get into the second half, Alex. What kind of happened here down the stretch towards the game? Obviously, the Cavs lose this game. There was a couple swings in this game. The Cavs go up early. The Pacers go up.
hmm
We go into halftime. We kind of get a couple back, but we're down, and then kind of just take me through what happened here.
Well,
What
I mean,
we just run out of gas, basically.
we ran out of gas in the first half, right? Like we started out really hot, and we had a really solid lead. Maybe we were up maybe 12 points real early in the game, first
Yep.
quarter, and then the second quarter they just started blowing the doors off us. Defensively, we couldn't get anything going offensively. We only scored 12 points in the second quarter,
Yeah.
and from there, I mean, halftime we came back out. We played better in that third quarter.
Mm.
Um, Levert was being aggressive again. Strus was playing aggressive. Mobley started actually. He seemed like he must have got a breather at halftime because he came out fired up, and we played really well in the third quarter. I don't think we got the lead back. I think we still trailed by maybe 5-6 points
We were
going into
back
the.
in it though. We were
Yeah,
back in
yeah.
it
It
though
was
going
it
into the
was it was
fourth.
back to being a game. Like
Right.
we were down by
Right.
4 points at one point, but just seemed like every time that we'd start to build some momentum, they would do something that would kill it.
Yeah.
Hit a three or get bailed out. They were
Yeah,
just making us pay.
in our rotation, even though we played probably 10 players, our rotation was just so short. And unfortunately, you needed everybody that got double digit minutes that game to contribute. Um, and we talked about Niang already. The other part that kind of hurt was Dean Wade getting 37 minutes, only giving you 6 points, a couple rebounds. He played the third most minutes out of any Cavs player that game. And that's the game where you needed the Dean Wade, that we've seen before. He doesn't need to get you 20 points or something like that, but we needed more out of Dean Wade in that game if we were going to win it. And hey, he's going to have those performances throughout the year where he looks great, and he's going to have some like this where it's like, he really wasn't able to get going. Isaac Okoro, he gives you 11 and 5. I feel like Okoro, I said this last time when we recorded, I'm keeping an eye on Okoro. I think this is a make or break season. One small thing that did kind of happen, and there was a couple articles that came out on this, is that the Cavs and Okoro did not agree on a like a contract extension at this point. They kind of want to see how things play out. So I I think Okoro is trying to be aggressive, especially early in the season, to try to prove that he belongs here and earn that next contract, if you will. But I think Okoro has been solid so far, and last night was another just solid performance. He gives you 35 minutes, 11 points, always guarding one of the better offensive players on the other team, and just has looked fine, I thought, so far this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's been playing really well. I mean, so far, only 3 games into the season, but this is the
Sure.
best version of Okoro that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Definitely agree. And it'll be interesting as the Cavs get healthy. Will minutes get shifted around or not? He's obviously not going to play 35 minutes every game. He'd be coming off the bench. But with Mitchell and Garland out, he's obviously getting more minutes right now. And I'd say for the most part, he's been taking advantage of that extra playing time.
yeah.
So the Cavs come down the stretch, Alex. There's a couple minutes left, and then
Yep. Couple
the
minutes
Pacers kind
left.
of just pulled
And
away, right?
yeah, we
Yeah,
got within 4 or 5 points. And then I think Halliburton just went off.
yeah.
Halliburton hit a three.
He's a nice
He was
player.
he was chirping at the crowd. The guys in the front, the front row, are standing up, shouting something at him. He's over near the sideline, shouting something at them. They
Nice.
get a stop at the other end. They get back down the court. Halliburton hits a number three. He's flexing. He's pointing at the guys, in the seats at the side of the bench, and he
Yeah.
starts pointing it, up towards the stands at everybody else in the crowd. He's like pointing in my direction. I'm yelling, "Halliburton, you suck!" And it's just getting, yeah, yeah, Halliburton destroyed us there in the
Yeah.
final minute. And then there's just no getting back into the game.
Right. Right. The Cavs dropped this one 125, 113. And overall, Alex, they're 1-2 on the season. They're 3 games in. And like I said, I think the injuries obviously are contributing here, right? It's not the start of the season as a Cavs fan you want them to be at after 3 games. But let's talk the OKC game real quick. There's a couple things I wanted to mention in that game. That one so far between the 2 games, this one hurt more, in my opinion. It's your season home opener, so the crowd is just the Cleveland crowd. It always does a good job at these things, especially the home opener of the season. It's been 6 months since Cavs basketball in Cleveland. The crowd did their part, and OKC is a very very young team, right? They got some nice pieces, but most people around, the NBA, unless you are a fan of OKC, could probably not name more than 2 or 3 guys on this team. And OKC came in and they ended up winning this game. And the worst part about it, Alex, is you get a 40 plus point performance out of Donovan Mitchell. Again, playing out of position, he's running your point guard slot. But what stings even more is this was a pretty back and forth game. The Cavs finally break it open, go up by 10 with about 3 minutes left, and they lose this game, Alex.
Yeah.
It was such a horrible just breakdown for the Cavs defensively. OKC makes like 3 threes. They hit another two in there, and the Cavs lose this game, and it was just, man, that was disheartening. What's your kind of thoughts on this? It was like watching. It was like when LeBron used to be here. You'd have LeBron go off for 35, 40 points,
Mm-hmm.
look amazing, but they lose the game because like Larry Hughes is the only other guy there, and he gives you
Yeah.
15, and that was you know what I
Right,
mean?
because there's no true second option, right? It's
Right,
like you
right,
got your all-star player, and then you got everybody else.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
And
yeah, I
this is where I want to see kind of just better offensive gelling. Like I'm looking at this box score, and I get it. Mitchell was trying to be the guy. He was trying to will the team to the win. Again, that's what LeBron used to do. But like Mobley puts up 14 points. He gives you 15, and Levert is your other two top scorers. Levert gives you 17. That's okay. Those are fine numbers, but you didn't get enough out of anybody else. Again, Dean Wade, 27 minutes, only gives you 8 points.
mm-hmm,
Max Strus, 38 minutes, only gave you 8 points this game. He didn't have a great game this game. You know what I mean? Niang, only 2 points. Damian Jones didn't give you anything. Ty Jerome didn't do much. So it was just Mitchell, for the most part, trying to will a win, and just the Cavs just broke down after they got that 10-point lead. And man, that was tough to watch.
yeah. I mean, that just goes to show you how difficult it is and how much it messes up your rotation when you're missing two starting players. I mean, no
Yeah,
Garland,
no,
no Jared
yeah, I
Allen.
agree. No Jared Allen, no Ricky Rubio. What bothered me about this game, though, was you don't have Garland, you don't have Rubio, but you played Ty Jerome for 9 freaking minutes of the game. Ty
Mm-hmm,
Jerome, man, I'll tell you what, he'll probably not stick here, super long or anything like that, right? But he's a very serviceable player. He has good size. He makes smart decisions, and he's deceiving. He can get a bucket on you. You know what I mean? He's perfectly competent enough to have played 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes in this game,
mm-hmm.
and help run the offense. Mitchell, was able to do some nice things, but he was also going to make some mistakes, just like he did last year in these scenarios when Garland was out. So that's where I felt it was a little bit of a blunder from a rotational standpoint. Is the backup point guard, your only backup point guard you have on this roster right now, really? You played for 9 minutes in this game, and you lose it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I
So
totally agree with you. I mean, it's because they're trying to play Levert more at point guard. That's what it is. But I
I don't
mean,
get that obsession. We talked about that last time. How Levert said he thinks why
yeah,
he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to be that. He's not a good enough ball handler to be that. He's a scorer. He isn't a run the offensive type of guy. And Ty Jerome playing 9 minutes on that game is a crime in my opinion.
yeah,
So the Cavs dropped this one to a young OKC team, and the first game of the season was against the Brooklyn Nets out in Brooklyn. The Cavs did eke out a win here, Alex, but it was not easy. It came down to the final 15 seconds or so. Donovan Mitchell played hero, hits a go-ahead three. Cavs get a defensive stop,
mm-hmm.
and they end up winning this game.
That was an exciting game.
It was. It was exciting because it's the first game of the season. It was back and forth. It was tense. You're out on the road. You kind of just had those sweaty palms. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just watching this game. And Garland plays this game. He gives you 15 points. He plays 32 minutes. And they eke out the win. Max Strus in this game, my God,
Yeah,
Strus looked awesome. He hit 7 threes, what's pretty cool too, Alex, is he now has the record for the most threes by a Cavalier making their debut with the team. in franchise history.
That's awesome.
So right away in the record books, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Okoro played a great game as well. Gives you 18 points. Okoro and Strus actually shared the Cavs chain after the game. They were dual winners of that. So it was a good game from an exciting standpoint, but it came down to the last second, and I was like, oh my gosh, please don't lose this. Like I'm already at that point where I'm pacing and stuff like that. I'm just excited to watch Cavs basketball again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. Like,
Yeah.
do I wish there were 3-0, of course, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, so many new guys on the team, so many guys that are starters that are hurt. It is what it is.
Absolutely. And, it's just, in one hand, it feels more the same where this team just can't be healthy. But it's so early in the season to where there's no point of getting all emotional about it, right? Like I've already seen people go off the deep end
Of
on social media and stuff
course.
like that. And it's just like, yeah, you know what? I don't know what to tell you. We're missing some key players right now. The only what's the hardest piece to stomach here is these three teams, Brooklyn, OKC, and the Pacers, at least I feel, are kind of all middle of the road teams, right? And you came out of that 1-2. You're not playing Milwaukee. You didn't lose to Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Golden State. You lost to kind of middle of the road teams. And, their upcoming schedule gets tougher, Alex. They play the Knicks back to back. They play them on Halloween night, but they play them back to back. They have the Pacers again, and they have the Golden State Warriors, I think, twice here coming up too over the next couple of weeks. So their schedule, they're going to play some more formidable teams. And I don't know how long these players out. I don't think Mitchell and Garland is anything significant. To be honest with you, I
I heard
expect them
Garland
back.
was day to day. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
he could be back for the next game, as far as I know.
He should be. I was hoping he was going to be back for the Pacer game. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, they're sitting him for OKC because they know they're having a back to back. And they sat Mitchell probably because it was a back to back. But it's just kind of unfortunate because again, Cavs should be 3-0 right now. They're very capable of beating these teams if they were healthy. And this is where it's going to get interesting, Alex, because if we get 8, 9, 10 games in the season and we're like 3-7, 4-6, that's obviously not a spot you want to be at. 10 games into the season.
I feel like,
So it's going to be interesting.
since the players can't say it, I feel like the officiating's been kicking our ass too in some of these games.
Oh man,
It's just
yeah,
calls have been going against us that I don't. These refs are absolutely blind. Like, what the hell game are they watching? Like,
there has been some bad calls.
It was Okoro that caught the elbow to the face, went down to the floor. A guy steps on him, and he gets called for the foul. Like,
Yep.
NBA needs to review this. They should be embarrassed.
Strus has
ridiculous.
gotten a lot of ticky-tacky fouls called against him too.
Yeah.
I do think it's because he's aggressive, right? But he's had some bad calls go his way. And that OKC game had a lot of bad calls, like even AC and the broadcast team was just saying, like, after the replay would come up, they're like, "Oh no, no way that was a foul," and and especially in that OKC game, from what I remember, man, there was 3-4 bad calls in that game, and that potentially could have been the game. You know what I mean? Like,
how about the calls for guys hanging on the rim after dunking it? Like,
Mobley got that call.
Stupidest thing. So stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and Mobley
it's
got
one
hit.
thing to
Mobley
hang on the rim for an extended amount of time or use the rim to do a pull up. Yeah, that's stupid. But guys just grabbing on the rim to, hang for a second to regain their balance before they drop to their feet. Like, they were calling fouls on that. It's like,
it's
NBA is getting ridiculous.
It's early in the season. The referees have a quick trigger right now, and every year the NBA kind of incorporates some new rules that they try to push on those referees to enforce. So I forget what it had to be the first game, right? Because it's the only game Garland has played. and you and I had talked about this sometime after that game, but where Garland got called for flopping. He's coming off of
Oh
a
yeah.
screen, and he's his defenders by the 3-point line. I forget who had it. He basically gets picked as he's coming up, and he hits the deck, and he got called for a flop, which now results into a free throw and the ball back. And I'll say this: he's sold it a little bit, but man, that's just ridiculous that's like considered a flagrant or whatever it is now. Again, just referees have had a quick trigger early in this season, and unfortunately, the Cavs have had some calls go against them as a result.
I'm too angry to even say anything now. Some really piss poor officiating, and the NBA needs to do something about it.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I mean, the Cavs, it goes both ways. The Cavs have gotten some calls that are somewhat questionable too, and again, the Cavs, that can't be the reason why we're losing. They can't let that be the reason why you're losing these
No, I'm
games.
not saying
Again,
it's the reason they're losing, but it definitely affects the enjoyment from a fan's perspective when
sure,
the
sure,
officiating's not fair or the calls are just terrible.
yeah,
It's frustrating to
absolutely,
watch.
absolutely. Hopefully, this team can get healthy sooner than later. We're only a couple games in. It'd be nice to have both Mitchell and Garland back for those New York games. I'm sure both those guys, those are going to be some fun games to watch, Alex. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how both teams kind of handle those games, especially since we're playing them back to back. And I'm pretty sure that Halloween game is nationally televised. I think that's our first one of the season, so that'll be fun. Although, gosh, there's that thing called trick or treating and kids and all that that'll kind of get in the way, right? I don't know
Right.
what time that game starts. Maybe it starts after trick or treating. That's what I'm hoping. Like an 8:30 start would be perfect because trick or
No,
treating only goes
it's a
till 8.
7:30.
7:30.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, we'll just have to make the kids go in early. It's going to be cold this year, Alex. We're finally going to get a cold Halloween, so maybe they'll want to go in early. On the Cavs.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now with the Cavs, man. 3 games in, it sucks. They're 1-2, have some injuries, health issues. It is what it is. The Cavs, hopefully they're going to get some bodies back and look more like what we expect this team to be. And it'll be interesting to see next time we record where we're at after a couple more games go through. But there was one other piece of kind of news that happened in between recording. The Cavaliers, Alex, have a new minority owner. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about this. I didn't really read too much about it or think anything of it. Kind of surprised, I guess.
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett, man, decided he's gonna. I read that it was estimated to be about 9 million. So that's a decent amount of change to be
That's
a
it?
minority owner. I
That's pretty
mean, to be honest
small.
with you, it is pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but it's like, he just shelled out 9 million. But yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett, obviously been around for a while with the Browns. Pretty good player as well, right? Probably a lot of fan favorite player here in Cleveland. And it's pretty cool, seeing something like that. It's not just it's cool, one, that it's someone famous, right? But it's also cool that it's someone that's playing here right now for another Cleveland franchise and is also like a star player as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Myles likes basketball, right? He's played in some of those, celebrity type games. He dunked last year in the Celebrity All-Star game, or was it the year before? I think he dunked it twice. So he likes hoops too, right? And he decided to invest, and he now has a minority ownership, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had to Google it because I was like, is he still a minority owner? But remember when Usher came on board years back when LeBron was around, and Usher still shows as listed as a minority owner. I figured he would have got rid of that thing after LeBron left, right?
Wow.
Part of me still feels that's questionable, but he's on their website. He's on Wikipedia still as a minority owner, so that's pretty interesting as
Is
well.
there like a? So you didn't find like an official like
I found
list
I
of
found
minority owners? Like, I wonder
I
how
did
many
I
there
did.
is. Oh,
There's
okay.
three of them. There's Gary Gilbert, who I'm assuming is related to Dan Gilbert. I don't know if it's his brother, his uncle, his whatever.
Hmm.
And then there's Usher, and then there's Myles Garrett. That's the only three that are listed.
Well, that's
And
weird.
I looked at there's probably lower tiers, right? You probably have to be at a certain amount to be listed on there. But I went to Usher's Wikipedia, and it says that he's still listed as a minority owner on the Cavaliers website, which is probably why he's still listed on Wikipedia as, a minority owner. But part of me still feels a little bit skeptical about that. Like, I wonder if they just never updated.
Well,
Because
I mean, I don't
I don't know,
know why he wouldn't be. I mean,
because LeBron left and the Cavs were
yeah, you don't sell
bad
when
for.
the star leaves. You got to
That's
wait
what he.
until
That's
the
the only reason
value
why he
goes
jumped
back up.
on. It's the only reason why he jumped on, though. To
Well,
be
you know how
honest with
stocks
you,
work, Corey. Value.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You don't sell. You don't sell when the team is down and low. You wait for it to
All
go
right.
back high again.
Well, let's just pretend it's legit. We have a famous music artist, right? We have a famous NFL player. Give me who would be your former Cleveland baseball team that you'd want to have jump on next? Jim Thome, Corey Snyder. Who we got, Alex? Who do you want to be? Who do you? What former
Uh,
baseball player do you want to jump on the train next?
God,
Just
man,
complete
I
the
have no
cycle.
idea. I have no idea. Cocoa Crisp. I don't know.
Kenny Lofton, like, come on. I just wanted to see what list of
Oh,
names you could rattle off.
Roberto Alomar, Sandy Alomar,
Yeah,
Omar Vizquel would be a good one, right?
the scale would be a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Albert Bell. No, I don't think Bell would do
Yeah.
that. No, but pretty cool that Myles Garrett decided to do that. It feels like even after whenever his playing days are done here in Cleveland, he's gonna be one of those guys that's always gonna be about Cleveland, which is always cool too, right? We always love that
Yeah.
when a player invests back in the city, basically. So
Josh Cribbs. Where's Josh Cribbs at?
Josh
He's
Cribbs,
always a
there you go.
Clevelander
Yeah,
once he
yeah,
got here.
right, right. So that's where we're at, Alex. 3 games in, man. Anything else from you before we wrap it up?
I don't think
Go
so.
Cavs.
Go Cavs. Had a great time at the game. Can't wait to get back to another one. That's for sure. It was cool seeing Campy Russell doing the post game. I swung by there, got on the TV for a minute.
Nice, nice. I didn't see that. I didn't watch the post game though, so to be fair.
Oh, I always watch the post game. Always
Yeah,
always got to see what JB says and what the players are
yeah.
saying after some of these losses, especially.
Right, right.
JB
Keep
didn't
their
have a voice
composure.
though. He was trying to give the post game interview and he couldn't talk at all. He was so raspy.
JB, man, I will say this. He does get on the referees,
Yeah, he got teed up.
and he got teed up, and I forget what game it was.
Strus got teed up at the game that I
Strus
was
got
at.
teed up too. It might have been the OKC game. The broadcast team is talking, and you got to remember where they sit, especially during a home game and where JB's at. So some things get picked up on their microphones, right? And there was one time where I heard him say, I think Niang got called for a foul, and he's like, "Don't worry about it, George. That was a bad call. It was a horrible call." And there was another time, I forget who got called for a call, but he's like, "That was a bullshit call. Like, that's bullshit." And he's always chirping at the refs, because the camera
They
tends to
deserve it.
pan at him. Yeah, they do. They
Officiating's
do.
so
The
bad.
officiating, yeah, has not been great so far. And yeah, he did get a T the one game, and Strus got a T as well. And so I believe him not having a voice come the post inter game, because he's just out there, obviously talking to the players, yelling things to the players throughout the game, but he's also spending time chirping with the referees as well. So we'll see, man. We'll see where we go. But let's go ahead and wrap up this episode, Alex, of the Cavs Pick and Roll podcast. Want to thank you, Cavs fans, as always, for tuning in and listening. And Alex, you want to let them know where they can follow us and connect with us.
Follow us on Twitter at Cavs Pick and Roll. Shoot us an email, cavspickandroll@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. Watch this on YouTube. Check out Corey's haircut. That's it. That's all I got.
Man, when's that joke gonna die?
It never gets old.
Yeah. All right, Cavs fans, there it is. We will talk to you again soon.
Peace out, Cavs fans.